exposición aquí en el Valley, en Las Vegas, obviamente ya.
To speak into me as well. And it's been powerful. It's been very powerful. Something really cool is happening with the relation with my son is that he's giving me hope. Hope that there can be something different, that I can change, that I can become someone that I've always dreamed that I want to be. And that the really frightening thing about all of this is now, in the last 5 months, I've met this little booger. And I am freaked out about what this is going to do. That's when that can happen. When you start believing in a wealthy mentality, you start to believe that it's not just your calling, but it's your duty to bring prosperity to the people around you, to share the prosperity that you have and to give it to those that are around you. Doesn't that sound like who wants to give more? Who wants to impact more? Everybody's hand should have been up. Who wants to give to those that are less fortunate with your knowledge, your resources, your finances? That's an exciting thing. And I'm telling you, the more wealthy in every way you become, the more you get to share, the more you get to give, and the more you get to draw other people into that same direction. And that is satisfying. Way more than making 150 grand a year. That's not very, it gets old real quick, trust me.
So just as the poverty mentality can be infectious, so can the wealth mentality. But how do we get to that mentality? How do we start to shift the way that we begin to think? We see it, and so we're like slanging it over like
the reality was, in our heads we were doing this, but I think outwardly we were like, we're told, yeah, everybody books that.
And we knew we were worth it, but like it was like, do they believe that we're worth it?
And I literally, I kid you not, in my head, I was very defeated. I was going, they're going to look at it and go, how can I turn this into a paper knife and cut you with it and then walk out? This is crazy. You guys are nuts. And they looked at it for a second, there's that awkward silence, and they're looking at your pricing, and you're like, and they're looking at it, and they're both like pointing, and they go, yeah, this middle one looks pretty good, but we might do the top one. And we were like totally, man! Confidence, that's how you start referring to each other. And that's what we did. We started meeting photographers, and we would go out with them, and we would go, we love what you're doing, we love your style, we're getting double booked, and we want to send those double bookings to you. How can we make that happen? And we go, that's awesome. I want to send mine to you. Great. We're in business together. And all of a sudden we had a business together. And I can't tell you how many times we refer Evan Baines or Evan Craven. And he'd go, dude, I owe you another dinner. You just made me another $5,000. Thanks, man. And then he'd send us referral back and forth. And that starts this chain effect of building that relationship that turns into that client relationship.
So now that we have all of these referrals coming in from these relationships.
And they would we actually would open our door so they were like looking at it. And they would go, oh, that's really cool. I'd be like, yeah, we get professional photo shoots done every year because we value that so much. They'd be like, wow, that's cool. And of course we experiential, right? Sounds, smells, all those kind of, we'd make coffee, we'd make cookies, we'd stand in the kitchen because conversations happen in the kitchen, and we would just hang out with them, spend time with them, relate with them. We'd go through those same steps from the phone call. We're smiling. Tell us your story. If mom came to the meeting, mom, what's your story? Tell me about your baby girl who's about to get married. Whatever. Build that relationship and then go through the same process. Educate them on your products and services. We would do that using a wedding album. So I tell a phenomenal story and then I hand them the story.
Is set up to yield exactly what you're getting. And if you just do more of it, guess what? You're going to get more of what you're getting. So if you want a new reality, a new possibility, a new future, you have to reinvent the whole system. And that, my friends, is not just doing. Doing will come in play in a minute, but it starts with being. It starts with a decision to be something new. And if you decide to be that kind of thing, then it'll be self-explanatory what are the things I need to go do. This is the attitudinal part, and this is why I'm taking so much time at the beginning of this conversation to really drive home that some of the brave in this room, not all of you, but some of the brave is clicking. And you're like, yeah, if this was the year where I decided like a year from now, I'm going to be this person, and I just reverse engineered my life back to this point and asked myself, from this perspective, if I'm here where I want to be, what would I have been doing back then? You'll know exactly what to go do right now. You tracking? Okay, let's get into what those things are.
1,835 jelly beans. I counted out 500 of them and used those to weigh the rest. In this pile, there's one jelly bean for each day that the average American will live. You might have more beans in your life, or maybe less, but on average, this is the time we have. Here's a single bean. It's your very first day. A special day, but kind of a rough day on everyone involved. Add 364 more and you have the first year of your life. Now, for a sense of scale, here are your first 15 years, 5,475 days, which brings us to the threshold of adulthood. And at that moment, this is the time that we have left. And this is, on average, what we will do with all that time. We will be asleep for a total of 8,477 days. If we're lucky, some of that time we'll be sleeping next to someone we love. We will be in the process of eating, drinking, or preparing food for 1,635 days. We'll be at work, hopefully doing something satisfying, for the equivalent of 3,202 of those days. 1,099 days will be spent commuting or traveling from one place to another. Maybe a little bit more if you live in LA. On average, we will watch television in one form or another for a total of 2,676 days. Household activities, like chores and tending to our pets and shopping, will take another 1,576 days. And we will care for the needs and well-being of others, our friends and family, for 564 days. We'll spend 671 days bathing, grooming, and doing all other bathroom-related activities. And another 720 days will go to community activities, like religious and civic duties, charities, and taking classes. After we remove all those beans, this is what remains. This is the time that we have left. Time for laughing, swimming, making art, going on hikes, text messages, reading, checking Facebook, playing softball, maybe even teaching yourself how to play the guitar. So what are you going to do with this time? How much of it do you think you've already used up? If you only had half of it, what would you do differently? What about half of that? How much time have you already spent worrying instead of doing something that you love? What if you just had one more day? What are you going to do today?
All right. And then JBJ Pictures. All right, man. Well done, you're pretty great. And then Silvart Studios. All right, come around here. Yeah. And again, everybody gets a prize. You guys are so amazing to me. Thank you so much. And if you want to stick around for a conversation, we're gonna move it out so we don't disrupt the next speaker who's coming in. Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
It looks like it's behind a window screen or something, but I think a window shade. Maybe I'm reading that wrong, but conceptually, yes, it's like really interesting, but I don't see the detail per se. I'm not looking for detail here because it's, the shadow, I guess, I just can't get past the sort of flaw that the hand is. I think if you're going to do this sort of silhouette shadow thing, you need to have a more elegant hand position, and but also within that very, very large.
You gotta relax the hands, right? You gotta relax the hands just a little bit. Go ahead. I agree, and I scored it a 78. I think I would definitely go up a little bit just based on the concept. I like that the hand is tight for me. I also don't believe the ring that just sits like that. If it were in a ring box that was like clamshell and opened up really pretty or whatever, that I think would add to it. It's not necessarily 100% realistic to have a ring like that.
I'm just going to make one more quick comment, only because when we have time to stare at these things, certain things become apparent to us that we didn't see the first time. This is obviously done inside of lampshade, which created we can see the top of the lampshade.
I want to be a speaker, but I'm a diva, right? So I gotta have Monday, not Sunday.
be sloppy with my pronunciation because I have an excuse. English is my second language. And I am sloppy. So I know there's a lot of foreign photographers here, and I will use simple words, and I will speak slowly, and I won't use any American idioms. I will try to keep it as plain and straightforward as possible. Good? Okay. So you guys, all right, so here we go. Who's a WPPI rookie? Yeah, it's the first year, right? Yeah. All right, that's a lot. And it's kind of overwhelming. A lot of stuff. Did you go to class yesterday? Yeah. Make the most use of your money, right? Smart. So you guys will be learning a lot of stuff. What's sticking with you so far? See, this is like a master class. Let's pick up. Trying new things. Trying new things. He tried to save you, but. What did you remember? Right off the top of your head. Telling stories, create a backstory, make it find comfortable. Okay. You hear that? Telling stories to make it find comfortable, create a backstory. What else? What else stuck in your mind in your class yesterday? What's that? Be true to yourself and your style. Great. Like that. What else? What else do we learn? Marketing skills, marketing techniques. That stuck out, right? What else?
Our job matters.
Our job matters. It's not so hard. Talk back to me. What's yours? Yeah. You wasn't judging? Did you learn anything judging? What's yours? Roberto Ramos was funny as shit. That he is.
You need to be fearless to succeed.
You need to be fearless to succeed.
Yeah.
I love that message. It's not even on YouTube, is it?
Sorry?
This is not even on YouTube, is it?
No, of course not. It's for me. Jose Ortega.
Huh?
Jose Ortega, fearless.
I know. But I'm very shy, so
No, don't worry.
I'll give you 5 minutes.
Okay.
Please. No video, no
Okay.
sound, especially no sound recording. Oh my God.
Very strange way. I had just gotten married, and I told my wife I was going to quit my teaching job, and I had just gotten tenure, so I had a job for life. And I told her I was going to quit that year to become a photographer. That went really well. That conversation went really well. I will never forget that one. And I literally told her that 3 months after I got married, and I was the only income earner in my house. My wife was still getting her master's degree. Very interesting situation, but that year I came to WPPI for the first time. And I remember I was just this skinny little dude walking around. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know anybody. I was totally by myself with my wife walking around. I was so intimidated by everything. I couldn't even afford to stay at the Bally's because it was too expensive. It was like 150 or something. It was like, who has that kind of money? You know what I mean? 150. And then so I had to stay across the street at a motel for 30 bucks a night. Let me tell you, my wife and I were not the only living things in that room. Okay, but that's how it started. It was really fun times. And now this is my 10th year, and I can't tell you how much I've learned. I'm still going to go to classes this convention. I'm going to go to as many classes as I can. I listen to speakers here at the booths. I read as much as I can. This career of photography has been an amazing journey for me. And part of that is what I want to share with you guys today, but more in terms of my photography, how I came up with some of my best pictures and how I lit them. And then we'll go through them. Because this is a booth talk and not a crazy platform class, don't be shy to talk to me. When I was chairing the print competition yesterday, nobody was talking because they're trying to be respectful. You don't have to be respectful here. You know, you can just ask questions because I'm here for you guys. It's a simple booth talk, it's casual, so feel free to ask me anything you want, okay? One of the things I wanted to discuss is when my career was about to go bankrupt about 7 years ago, it was seeing a lighting that really saved the day. Most of the time, lighting is a topic that most photographers, I mean, how many are we natural light photographers or something like that? Natural light, 2 people, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let me tell you something about natural light. It is incredibly beautiful, and if you master it, you're going to be able to do amazing things. But one of the things that saved me is being able to, let me show you.
To get in close and focus and see it with our eyes get sharp. This is what we're doing now. We can manually focus our lenses and bring our subject to us with a digital zoom. It's like basically digitally zooming in and bringing her to 100%, and on a 50 megapixel sensor, 42 megapixel. I'm getting ahead of Sony already. It's now 54 now. So 42 megapixel sensor brings you in tight, and I can zoom in twice. I can go in once, make sure I don't lose her, find her in my frame. I can focus. If I need to come in closer, I can come in on her eyeball. From here, I can get in just on the eyeball, and I can see her lashes be sharp. I'm like, no, I don't want the lashes. I'm shooting 1.4. I want the eyeball. I can see the vein in the eye get sharp. It's crazy. It's just crazy. It's like there's so much confidence shooting this way. When you're shooting a portrait, if you're shooting with autofocus, you put it on her eye and it's buzzing around a little bit. And if you're in single shot, you don't know if it locks with the eyelash or the ear or the nose, and you think it's there. You shoot, you take a test shot, you zoom in, right? There's a lot of this going on, a lot of test shots going on. But with this, I can zoom in, I see it get sharp, I shoot, and then I get an image preview of it. She didn't blink, oh, I'm good, one and done, right? If I got the expression I want. Or I keep going, keep shooting. I'm no longer having to focus. My focus isn't moving. So I'm not having to refocus each shot. She's right there, she hasn't moved. Why should my camera be moving? Why should I be moving, right? So there's lots of reasons why you would use autofocus versus manual focus and manual focus versus autofocus. I found that manual focus actually gives me so much control. I never even thought of this shooting Nikon because it didn't have a way to bring my subject closer to see. And I don't know if my eyes are going bad on me after all these years of shooting. I don't know what's going on, but I would try to shoot manually focus, and I'd zoom in, and it was never sharp. And I love shooting wide open at this shallow depth, but I'd zoom in, and I'd be like, man, I missed it here. I'm going to take another shot, take another shot, take another shot. I'm getting frustrated, right? Now, so I'm like, with Nikon, I just leave it on autofocus. Trust it. And it would get it, Nikon's very good with autofocus, it would get it, but I found myself bracketing my autofocus. I found myself, I'll find a piece of contrast here on where the shirt meets the skin. I'll put it on the eye, but if they're far away, maybe I can't see the eye. There's not enough contrast there. So I'll put something in the same plane that I know it's going to block onto, and then hope it's close. But when you're shooting wide open with fast lenses, I would always shoot with that 200-2.0. I knew that I needed to nail that focus. I loved how the background just blurred off in the bokeh and everything was so beautiful. I love those lenses, and I like shooting like that. So, but even more important, I make a shot, and then I zoom in and it's soft. It's like focus on the ear. Like that ruins it, right? So I'm bracketing my focus. I'm shooting like 10 frames when I really should shoot 1 or 2, just to make sure I got it. Sometimes I kind of miss it. I get it close, and for Instagram, it's good. It's good enough, right? So it's almost like big deal, right? But if you're still printing or making albums or anything large, cropping in, if you need to crop in on it to change some stuff, you want to change the orientation, nailing your focus is, and I'm a perfectionist, I charge a lot of money, I feel my clients demand perfection. I want the eyes sharp in a portrait, right? So this gives me the capability to zoom in, see it get sharp, I believe my mind and my eyes, I believe them, when it's that close, not over here, but here, and bam, I'm done, one and done, right? So it's giving me this new confidence when I'm shooting. It's huge for me, okay? If I'm shooting through a crowd, we all know we're at a wedding, a cocktail hour, we need to shoot through some bodies to get the bride over there talking to somebody. So in autofocus mode, you can move the focus selector around and get it right on your subject, and then someone walks in and it jumps to them, and then you shoot, and then someone walks in front. It's doable, but manual focus in that situation is so easy. I zoom in, I see it sharp, bam, I'm done. Doesn't matter who's walking through, my lens is off, right? The autofocus is off. It sounds weird, and I never thought I'd be shooting in manual focus, but It's amazingly awesome, and I've actually sped up my shooting. I capture more moments, and I wish I could show it to you, but moving on. Is that pretty descriptive? You kind of got it? Maybe I didn't need to show it. Maybe I need to bring all this stuff out. Bring poor Jen out here to sit on her butt. So number 3 is adaptive lenses. This is where's my Otis?
We put it back in the bag, Mike. I'll get it
Oh,
for
you
you.
did? Okay, I need both. Actually, I can't even shoot, so what am I talking about? I want to show it to you. So this lens is, and what's interesting is with the new G Master lenses that are just coming out, I'm almost not as super excited about these lenses, but it's like a $44,000 lens, but rated to be like one of the sharpest lenses in the world, and its manual focus does not have autofocus, but it's got a wide throw, so you can really fine tune and quickly get there. And it's got these markings so you can, zone focus and all these things. But adapting this lens to this camera makes a lot of sense because it's a manual focus lens and I can zoom in to manual focus assist, right? The other thing is, without a mirrorless camera, you can't adapt another, this is a Nikon mount lens. You can't adapt another lens because the mirror brings the lens too far away from the sensor. So if you add an adapter, now it's unusable. So with mirrorless, there's no mirror, so you can get closer and you can adapt the lens, so that space with the adapter doesn't affect your image at all. You don't lose light, you don't lose sharpness, you don't lose anything. It just basically allows you to use any camera manufacturer's lens that's built for a 35mm platform. You could use it on your mirrorless camera. So if you have a favorite lens, you can still use it. Whether you can use it autofocus or manual focus or not, that depends on if it's Nikon or Canon. Canon now is able to use autofocus translated through a Metabones adapter. Nikon, we're still working on it. There's like a common line adapter I think is coming out. We've all been waiting for it. So I can use my 200-2.0 again until Sony comes out with their own and I can sell that one. But it's cool to be able to use other lenses. It's cool to be able to buy a camera body, and if you have a heavy investment into Canon or Nikon glass or whatever company glass, you can translate that onto your camera right away and take advantage of these features. So adaptive lenses I think is a big deal. That was number 3. Silent mode. I talked a little bit about this. You can't have silent mode with a digital SLR. They've gotten a little quieter, and there's part of me that misses that clack, 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 clack. Right, Ray Santana? The clack, clack, clack. I was shooting Mel Gibson's daughter's wedding, and I brought this guy, Terry, and he was shooting Canon. Ray was there. Ray and I were shooting Nikon, and we were told specifically we were not to. It was a Greek Orthodox wedding. We were specifically not allowed to walk anywhere towards the front, and I was like, what? When I envisioned shooting Mel Gibson's daughter's wedding for the last year when I booked it, I envisioned him walking his daughter down the aisle and getting that shot of, because I watched him in Lethal Weapon and all these cool shows. So I just wanted to shoot Mel, cared about the bride. But I'm like, I can't shoot him walking down his daughter down the aisle. This is lame. So I told Ray, I'm like, okay, I'm going to sneak up to the front, and they're really strict, right? I'm going to sneak up to the front. I'm going to shoot. I'm going to put my camera in silent mode, which was Nikon silent mode was quieter, but it basically allowed you to decide when you let the mirror fly back down. But it still made noise, right? Especially in a very quiet Greek Orthodox wedding. And I was in the front just like clicking away, and then Mel's wife gave me the daggers, like, what are you doing up there? And then Terry was off to the side just like with his cannon, just blah, blah. And I was like, seriously, he gave me away. I think I might have pulled it off, but I got a feeling now that I could have shot that wedding in silent mode and they would have been fine with it. It's just all about the distraction. The noise is very distracting during a ceremony, especially if someone bows their head to pray, or something like that. You want to capture that moment. You're like, this is an intense moment, very sacred moment. You want to capture that for the couple, but you don't want to really ruin the mood. You don't want to be that jerk that's like bam, 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 bam. So these cameras, I want you guys to be very quiet and listen. I'm going to put this in silent mode. I got it. Okay, so I'm putting some. I did a custom button on my camera, a little trash can icon that you use to delete your photos. In playback mode, I delete the photo with it. In shooting mode, I trash the sound with it. It's just how I remember which button it is. All right, so I turn the sound off. No, silent mode on. Okay, I'm gonna take a photo. Everyone be really quiet. Did you hear that?
No.
Alright, come on up. Come on up.
Put your mic on.
I am Mike, and I am Mike. You hear that one? Okay. You're gonna be proof that I am shooting a picture of her, and you're not hired, right? I don't know you. Right? This isn't like David Copperfield, smoke and mirrors. Alright, so there she is. Focus. I want you to press the button. It's right here. Did it take a photo? Do it again. Slow down there. Slow down. Don't be too happy, alright? Is it 40,000 megapixels? It's quiet, right? Can you hear it? It's got a silencer, that's why. I invented it. That's why I'm here today, guys. And in the back of the room we have silencers for your cameras. No, seriously, like that's pretty cool, right? So excited your iPhone. It's electronic shutter. So there's no sound, right? You don't have a mirror and you don't have a shutter. That's what makes the noise in the camera. And I got a feeling I'm gonna miss the noise a little bit. But if you want it, you can still have it. You know, you can turn the shutter back on. The question is, why would you turn the shutter on ever? You guys have that question? Or why not just shoot in silent mode 100% of the time? I don't know. No. I actually didn't know the answer. So like if you have LED lighting that's pulsing, some lights are kind of like trying to save energy, they pulse. Have you ever like shot and seen stripes on an image, like video cameras, or if you take a picture of your TV, it's kind of that idea, right? Frequencies and pulsing lights. So an electronic shutter is like writing to the sensor and shutting off parts of the sensor, so it captures some banding in certain types of lighting. So those types of, you just turn your shutter on. But thankfully, most incandescent lights that are set up like these types of lights and everything, the lights I have here, these are just modeling lights I'm using today, and they show no banding at all. When I shoot on set in a movie, there's no banding. They're using high-end like Kinoflow lights and things like that. Any light that doesn't pulse, it's continuous. Any kind of like photography light that's made for video or made for photography, you won't have that issue. You can shoot in silent mode. You just gotta look out for the DJ. If he's got some crazy lights, you might see. If that light's hitting your subject, you might see some banding on it. You also lose like a couple bits of color because there's so many bits anyways. Who cares? So silent mode's awesome. That's my number 2.
Models get frustrated too when you can't get the shutter.
Oh, good. Yeah, great. No, that's a great point. Models get frustrated, like professional models. What am I doing? Models get very frustrated they can't hear the shutter. Why do you think they get frustrated?
Because they don't know when you're catching your...
Because that shutter is a cue for them to change their pose. But my thing is, when I've been playing around with a lot of models with this, I'm like, hey, I'm going to do something that's a little weird here. I'm going to turn off my shutter. So you're not going to hear my camera. You're not going to know when I'm shooting. You're like, you know. But it's interesting because what happens is they're no longer listening for the shutter. They're listening for my cues. Sometimes I click the shutter and they move on. I'm like, no, I missed it. You know, like, you blinked and you just moved on to a new pose and that was it. And then I told her to go back and she can't go back that pose. It was a look and ride or something. If she didn't hear that shutter, she would keep that look and I would be able to, you know, mess up a little bit until I got it, whatever it was. You know, I could zoom in and focus on her eye and take some time and shoot, you know. Silent mode, now they're relying on my cues. And they're no longer relying on the cues from that shutter. That shutter gives me away, you know, and it's kind of, actually when you think about it, if you could train your models to just not listen for that, to listen for your verbal cues, if you're shooting a model, then it's actually a new way to shoot, and it kind of opens the mind a little bit. But I've been doing it, and models are getting more and more familiar with this, and they're telling me, yeah, I've done this before with another photographer. So in the model world, the headshot world, it's kind of cool to be in charge and your stealth mode. They don't know when you're shooting, so they don't know when they can move. So the hold looks longer for you, you have a little more time, and I shoot, I see them, and I know if they didn't blink, I can move on. Now I give them a verbal cue. So, any other questions about silent mode? Yes?
Why would turning it on affect the lighting?
Well, okay, so why would turning the silent mode on affect the lighting?
Turning silent mode off.
Turning silent mode off affect the lighting.
You're talking about how this...
Okay, so you're talking about the LED lights and stuff?
Right.
So with a shutter, it's going side to side, I believe, and it's like one shutter's following the other. And there's even a different mode where it's electronic shutter to start and another shutter to follow. But with a traditional shutter, you don't have that issue. It's not like, I don't know, like you need to talk to somebody that's really techie, more techie than me, obviously, to talk about why exactly the writing to the sensor doesn't capture the lines. I'm sure we can figure it out together on paper and with some tests and stuff, but I do know that you turn off silent mode and you don't have to worry about LED lighting. You turn it on, you really have to, you can somehow bypass it with shutter speed, you slow down your shutter enough. Kind of like when you're shooting your TV, I don't know why I was shooting my TV. The TV's in the background, I'm shooting my kids. You see that weird stripe, if you slow your shutter down enough, it kind of tends to go away, because it's got time to write the whole image of the TV on your sensor before the shutter closes, that kind of thing, right? So, did that answer your question? Go to the Sony booth, Mark Weir, we call him the professor. He answers, is Mark here tonight? No, he could have helped us tonight. Mark is a professor, ask Mark that question. Any other questions that I can't answer? Alright, moving on to the final slide, and I'm going to spend the most time on this slide, but I promise I won't keep you much. How long does this class go till? 8. We got 55 minutes. So we're all going to go to dinner together, and the model is we're going to go shoot in the street. Right? Alright, so no more chimping. You guys know what chimping is? What's chimping? Show me.
Looking at what you shot.
Yeah, it's like that test shot. You know, where's my camera? It's all locked up. So when you take a picture and you're not sure, or you're too excited, you have to see it right away, the instant gratification, and we look back, right? So it's either we're not sure, we have to zoom in to check sharpness, we're not sure if the white balance is right, we need to look down and check the white balance, we're not sure if she blinked, the exposure, all these things, right? So this is the beauty of mirrorless. I'm curious, how many people in here own a mirrorless camera and they've been shooting professionally with it? Shooting professionally? Okay, see, we're really adopters here, and you guys are all like, I like that you're here, obviously interested. So chimping, for me, has always disconnected me from my subject, disconnected me from the moment. And I realized when I went from shooting film to shooting digital, that this was a slight problem for me. Actually, more than a slight problem. I actually realized that I was doing a lot, and it's better than waiting for your film to get back and realize you screwed it up, right? Trust me, I like digital. But when I was shooting film, I'd set my camera, I'd put my film speed in, everything was good, right? And then I just shoot away and just trust, right? And the lab could fix my mistakes. You know, if I messed up the exposure. There's no such thing as white balance in the film days, right? You just pick the right film temperature and go, right? It's really 2 temperatures. Maybe, if you're good, it's 2 temperatures. If not, it's 1 temperature, daylight. And just let the lab correct the tungsten light, right? Now with digital, it's like, we're now our own lab. We have to get everything right. We have to watch highlights blowing out. We have to watch, skin tones. We have to, everything. We got to understand color temperatures and all these things. So, this test shot, look at the back, test shot. Some people, I've seen Ray do it. Keep me on so you pay attention. So I keep saying it. I see Ray do it with live view on his camera. Instead of just doing white balance like test shots, or setting it to some manual white balance taking test shot, he would just set it to Kelvin and just look at the scene in live view on his Nikon and dial in the white balance. So someday we're gonna get Ray to keep the camera to his face, and with the Sony he can see it happen, right, without pulling it down. This is the thing. It's like when I'm looking through the lens and I dial it in and get it right. What happens if the sun goes down a little further? Sometimes it gets a little warmer, and the skin tones start looking a little yellowy, and then the sun goes past the horizon. Now it starts getting blue. Right, and so if we just keep shooting the same white balance and never look at our camera, we're connected with the client, we're having a great time, we're getting them those shots, whatever. We're being like paparazzis, getting them running on the beach. We're so excited about the moment, we're actually connecting with our clients that we forgot about our white balance. And if you're shooting JPEG, you could have some problems, or especially on the beach, blow out a red channel on a face. Have you guys ever tried to correct a face and it wouldn't work, like in post-production? You try to fix the skin, it looks like silly putty. You're like, why can't I fix this? Maybe you shot JPEG and blew out a red channel in your highlight as irrecoverable, and then unless you're like a painter, you can go back in and fix that. So you have your exposure dead on, right? And so I'm always looking, and I'm shooting, looking. So becoming this lab and photographer all in one, I found myself doing a lot of chimping, test shots, looking. And I got this habit because if I didn't do it, I'd mess up, I'd forget. Because what you see is not what you get when you look through a DSLR. What you see is what's through the lens, right? It's not when you take the photo, you all know that it could be different. with a mirrorless camera, if you have your live view on, which I pretty much leave on available light, you always, what you see is what you get. And that's the beauty of it. So I take the photo and I can choose to have it show me a preview right afterwards in my viewfinder. And all of this I was going to show you today. To pound it in, but I'm good with my hands. So it shows you the photo, and you see it, you're confident, so it was the right color, or you can choose not to because you saw it before you even shot it. So it's kind of like pre-chimping. You don't even have to like look like a monkey. You see it before you shoot it, and I think that's the biggest thing with mirrorless that makes it amazing.
That's assuming you're not using flash.
Good question. So he said that's assuming you're not using flash. So what happens when we go to the reception? We're setting up off-camera strobes on the dance floor, things like that. Most of us do this, or you have an on-camera flash, and it's really dark inside the room. These are the times where we turn off this live view feature because you kind of dumb down the camera to be an SLR, or I don't want to say dumb down. You kind of like have to take away that feature because that feature now, if what you see is what you're going to get, you can't see the strobe until it fires, right? So you're looking at a dark room, and it's too dark to focus. So you turn it off, and the camera brings you a perfect exposure, but really you could be shooting f11 in a studio, and that f11 you can't see in a studio, even the modeling lights, f11 at 2 computers a second, it's too dark, right? So the camera allows you to see the focus, it just kind of compensates, no matter what f-stop you are, it just becomes like an SLR. So turn off that live view when you're shooting with strobes at a reception, and then you're A-okay. So I'm just winging this, guys. I do have a few other things that I want to talk about. Oh, sorry.
Chipping.
That's chipping, in case you guys didn't know. A couple other things. Well, why don't I open it up for questions, just general questions about anything, and then we'll get into that a little bit. I have a few more features I wanted to talk about if there's time. That is a great question, the batteries, because the batteries are very tiny on this one. Here, let me show you. So I have the vertical grip, so like I can put 2 batteries, but look how small these batteries are, right? Tiny little batteries. I mean, they're built for a camera that's supposed to be small, right? This whole mirrorless thing was supposed to be a tiny, make compact, street photography, and taking it with you. So the battery life, I found that I keep a lot of batteries in my bag. And with 2 batteries, the beauty of having this 2 split batteries is the camera tells you what percentage number 1 is and what percentage number 2 is. So have you ever ran out of batteries in an important moment? Like you forgot to check your battery life and the first dance is happening, and right before he dips the bride, there's a big moment where like, your battery died, right? So you're like, oh no. So what's cool about having 2 batteries is you can always keep an eye on them. And once half of your batteries are depleted, right? So one of the batteries is fully depleted, you can use up all of it and you still have half. Now I can, at my convenience, when nothing important's happening, I can go replenish that second battery and then it'll keep using up this one. So you never really get too far below halfway because you're paying attention. And you're never having to switch your battery. One, you're never having to take your battery out early, so you're more efficient with your battery life. So you never have to take it out of your camera early because you got an important moment coming up you don't want to run out. So you pull a battery out at 15 or 20%, put a new one in, your battery capacity you're only at 85% of usage. So these are more efficient, and I go through on a wedding day. Say I'm shooting 5,000 images out of wedding. I might go through about 6 or 8 of these, and I keep 12 in my bag. But they charge quick, they're small, they're lightweight, they all fit in this little pouch on my bag. This little top pouch right here in the bottom corner, 12 batteries fit in there. It's not an issue. I thought that was going to be an issue, it's not an issue at all for me. And I actually enjoy the battery system because of that reason.
From going from Nikon to Sony, how do you feel about the dynamic range of comparison, and how is the autofocus and those low light receptions there?
Okay, so first the dynamic range. Yes, how do I feel about the dynamic range compared to Nikon? The latest Nikon model I was shooting was the D4 when I switched. And I picked up the A7S, and I was blown away by the dynamic range in comparison to the D4 on the A7S. And this is the first version of the A7S. So I was shooting the first version of the A7S, and I actually have some images that I shot. Since we're not shooting the model and I can't show you in live view, I'm going to own a bag with the orange drive. I'm going to show you some images. But I was blown away. I was testing this camera with a friend of mine. She invited me to shoot at her wedding, just to come as like a fly on the wall. Like I didn't exist. I was just coming to test the camera. I could show up at her wedding and leave, and the bride didn't know. And use the images and exploit the images without a contract. But I was shooting at the reception. I went into, okay, you guys know when you walk into a reception, sometimes you have 5 minutes to shoot a reception room before the grand entrance happens, because you were shooting the family formals or the cocktail reception, or you get in there with enough time and they're still setting the table, lighting the candles, and everyone's getting in your shot. You just want that room shot, right? So you literally have 5 minutes to shoot. And so then you got this issue with high contrast. Lighting companies that don't really know, they're not photographers, they don't really know the difference, they don't know what dynamic range is, they don't know what they pin light a white centerpiece of flowers on the table and everything else is dark. So you got all these tables with these pin lights on the white blowing out, right? So this was Jessica's wedding. Pin lights on these white bouquets and all the centerpieces and everything else was dark, like candlelit. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is horrible, like how am I going to light this thing? I don't know, I have like 30 seconds before they're going to let the guests in. So the Sony a7S, I put it in high, it's called a Dynamic Range Optimizer, DRO. I put it in high mode, and so it takes the full range of the sensor and puts it into a JPEG. And so it takes the highlights and the shadows, almost like HDR, but only one click, and it puts it in there. And the dynamic range of the sensor in RAW mode is so huge on these files that I was able to capture the detail in the flowers and the detail in the dark shadows on the table where there was no light other than just a little bit of candlelight. And I'm going to show you some of the, okay, let's grab them. Thanks, JC.
What's the ISO on that?
So the ISO on the A7S, I was using it up to 25,000 ISO and getting, I think the shots I'm going to show you were, this shot actually on my desktop is a shot, and it looks better on my laptop, but the image quality and the dynamic range, even at high ISOs on the A7S, is quite impressive. I have, let me just show you. Just going to like my Sony booth presentation that I did earlier. So here's some of these shots. Let me just play this. So this was a shot in black and white and super low light. Like this was probably like 2000 ISO. It wasn't like super high. Let me get to that wedding with Jessica. Here it is. So these are some low lit shots. This is somebody's iPad up in the corner, up there, glowing. I don't know what that is, but here's some table shots. The flower detail, the shadow detail, and I should have had Roxanne print this actually, so you guys can see what it looks like. But there's not a lot of noise in the shadows. And this shot, let me see. Oh, this is in a. I would have to actually pull up the JPEG, but I think I shot this at 25,000 ISO. And it's completely usable, and there's not a lot of noise in the shadows. Like on my D4, I think I would be shooting at about 3200 with the same quality. I was confident with the D4 up to like usually 12,000, something like that, but it looked like the D4 at about 3200, which is saying a lot. That's a good file at 25,000 ISO. And not just that, the dynamic range was awesome. I have the A7S2 now, and it has the same sensor, just with more features. It has a silent mode, it has in-camera stabilization in the sensor, so all my lenses have stabilization. All Sony cameras have in-camera image stabilization, so the sensor floats in there. I took the lens off the other day and fumbled the camera a little bit, and I saw the sensor just like floating in there. It's just, the sensors are just floating around, so they do all the image stabilization. You can have an Otis lens, a manual focus Otis lens, and it's stabilized, so I can hand hold it at slower shutters and all these things. Another cool feature. The other question you had was focus, like autofocus capabilities. In low light. Okay, so in this situation, I can't remember if I manually did it with I think I was doing the manual zoom thing, because that makes sense. If my subject isn't moving, it makes sense to manually focus. The reason it never made sense before is because I couldn't bring the image close enough to see. You know, it's like I was talking about macro photography. Would you ever really want to autofocus on a macro with a macro lens this close? No. The control is awesome when you can see, when it's close enough to really see what you want is getting sharp. So I don't find myself autofocusing in situations like this anymore, because it doesn't really make sense. If I want, like say it's a dance floor and people are moving and I just like don't have time, by the time I got it in focus manually, they're moved on, that's when you need autofocus. And I did find on these cameras, the A7S was pretty good at it in low light, but the lenses I was shooting with at Sony, this is why we were all asking for faster lenses, you know, because at f4 on these lenses, shooting in these low lit ceremonies, I found myself wanting to either video light a little bit to cast a little contrast in there, or let the camera send out the red beam, which it has on right on the camera. You can have it sit on a red beam and create contrast on your subject. It's a little annoying if you're, you know, lasering all your people on dance floor, but there's all these lights around anyways, you know, it's not that bad. But I think that with the A7R2, when this camera came out, this thing's amazing. I feel like it's focus tracking everything. I shoot runway. I shoot in New York City for Grace Among Lifestyle magazine. I shoot like 30 different designers for Market Week. And it's a challenging situation because the models are walking quickly down the aisle. It's like a bride walking down the aisle on steroids, right? They're just like they have somewhere to be. I don't know where they're going after the show. But they're just like, I'm going to slow down for me. I found myself with the Nikon hit and miss. And I look at my images later, and it was kind of like hit and miss, hit and miss. I was shooting the last market with the A6000, Sony's $500 little point-and-shoot looking camera, and it's 11 frames a second. It's an APS-C sensor, so that was the only downside for me. I like full frame. But I was shooting those images, it's 11 frames a second, it's 24 megapixels, and it was like the face, the little square came up on her face. This is on the A6000, the square came up, and I can compose the image however I wanted, and it would just lock on her face and track her shooting 11 frames a second. And Dan Lecca, Ray knows Dan Lecca, Brandon knows Dan Lecca. He's like the king of the runway, the photographer's been there forever. He's there with this beast of a cannon, just you know, and I'm here with this little camera like a machine gun war. Mine is like smaller. He just kept looking over me like, and then afterwards he comes over, he's like, how'd it work? And I was looking through the images, zooming in, everything was money, sharp on the eyes. And I was like, it was so easy. I didn't have to move my focus selector as she gets closer. I'm moving my focus selector up to her face. When she's further away, now I gotta hit the dress because the face, the focus selector can't see that far away. It would hit the background. So as she got closer, I'd move it to her face when I could see. The A6000 was just like, found her face, all the way to the back, little green square. Green means it's sharp. Followed her all the way down the aisle, and I was like getting creative with my composition, shooting her head in the bottom corner. I'm like, whee! This is crazy, you know, like, just like look at the dance, laughing, drinking a glass of champagne, just shooting, and I was done. I was like, oh my gosh, through the camera, my assistant caught it, and I was done. You know? And then I turned on the Wi-Fi and transferred it to my iPhone, and I was on social media before these, you know, these fashion bloggers with their iPads. You know, I was like killing it. So that's another cool feature, the Wi-Fi. Seriously, like why did I was a little frustrated with Nikon because to add on Wi-Fi to my D4, it cost me like $785. And I was like, wait, my iPhone's like this thin and has Wi-Fi. Like, why can't it fit inside this camera? There's no place you could find to put it in there. And so I felt like they're gouging me a little bit. But I got my clients to pay for it. It wasn't a big deal. But I'm like, why can't they build it into my camera? You know, it's like, it kind of makes me mad. So Sony has a built-in, every camera that Sony makes is like built-in Wi-Fi. And it actually, if I wanted to transfer this image, what's your name?
Michelle.
This beautiful image that Michelle took. Since she was paying so much attention to composition and everything else. So I'm going to hit play, and I got to take my thing off airplane mode, turn my Wi-Fi. So there's a little button on the back camera, hit send. Oh, it's in airplane mode too here. All right, I'm not sure. So you hit a button there, and it basically on your phone. And so I get it after a show or something. What just happened? After a show, and I'm seriously racing against. You guys all know, even at a wedding. Okay, you're at a wedding, and the guests are sitting there like throwing images up on Instagram. You're like, hey, wait, what about me? Like, I'm the pro here. You don't even need the publicity. You don't even need the referrals. You don't need the tag on Instagram to keep feeding your family. You're just like trying to show off for your friends, and you're getting the stuff up because I'm busy working. You know, it kind of sucks. You know, so people are stealing your joy, your glory, and it's almost like, okay, once an image made it up and the bride sees it, and whatever image is first in her mind, you know, when she's looking through Instagram and all her hashtag photos, whatever's first in her mind, those attached to her heart because they're attached to moments at the wedding. So those images become burned into her mind and her heart. Now your stuff, even though it's 10 times as good, is like chopped liver. You know, it's like, oh, I've already seen that. Oh, this old news, you know? Like, that's better, but man, this image, this one is connected for some reason. My friend should be a photographer. I should have hired them. You know? And it's sometimes first is better. You know, that's the number one rule of marketing. You know, being first is it's better to be first than it is to be better. First is better in most situations, you know? So it kind of sucks. So we need this capability. And I think like Sony listened to that. They're built it into the camera. It's so easy to transfer over. There's a little app on your camera called Play Memories. Boom, transfers over. Memorizes the passcodes and stuff so you don't have to keep entering your Wi-Fi password. Transfers over. You can dump everything you shot that day or just one image right over your phone. You can pick the resolution, 2 megabytes each or full res. You know, you can do whatever you want and throw it up on Instagram before these fashion bloggers get it up, you know?
Yeah,
so,
Mike, Kenny just photographed you with my camera. I sent it to my phone and I just texted it to you.
Oh, dude, I mean, let me see. This is good. You guys are taking care of me up here. You must be a Sony artisan, Mark.
Yeah. I try, man.
Getting paid for this?
No, actually, no, I'm not.
I do want to thank Mark for coming out and being my grip, setting this stuff. He didn't have to be here, dude. Thank you so much. And all my friends, JC, Brandon, Nick here filming. You don't have to give it. This is my friends, guys. I really appreciate you guys. Who did I forget? Sam came all the way from Ireland just for me. He came here for the conference, but dude, this guy's been amazing. Kelly Deluxe over there. These guys are awesome. These guys know a lot about photography. I handpicked these guys to be part of my group because they're younger and smarter and cooler, and I get information. If there's one tip I can give you today is hang out with people that are excited about photography. People who are like passionate about it and are into it and love the same things you love. It makes it so much more fun. Like, I got in this business to have fun, you know, so I didn't have to be an engineer. I was going to be an engineer and I switched, and it's like, I wanted to have fun. So, man, like, find people, put yourself around people who inspire you, who give you ideas, who are younger than you, smarter than you. They're the future, you know, it's like, I stay young for that. That's how I get all my ideas. I steal it from them. I can't find that photo you texted me, Mark. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Oh. Well, I was in airplane mode, that's why. Ray texted it to me. He just said, "You're the man." Ken, no, he said, Kenny, no, Kenny, oh, here it is. So Mark shot that, sent it to
Kenny shot it.
Kenny shot it.
I sent it to my phone, I sent it to Kenny, and I sent it to you.
Camera?
The RX-1 R2.
The RX-1 R2, which is Sony's little, like, cool walk-around, expensive $3,200 thing. And then you sent it to me, cool.
Can you
So,
go over the different A7s?
yes, okay, so that's a good question. Go over the different A7s. So, so you have like the latest models are the A7S and the A7R, and they're like the second version. So it's A7S2 and A7R2. Previously, we still have the A7 II, the Mark II, which replaced the original A7. So let me explain. A7S, just think low light, 12 megapixels, not this crazy like 40 something megapixels. A7S. Okay, thank you. Visuals. Visuals are good. So low light, 12 megapixels, awesome at video. Like this thing's like killing it in the video world. Like people are using this for feature films. There's all kinds of accolades for this camera because of the low light capabilities. You know, and look, he's got his on a Ronin right there. This is a Ronin, right? And just floating right there. I mean, this stuff. Look how small that thing is, and runs around. People are making feature films, intelligence shows. You can look at the list online. Of what these are being used for, but they're amazing in low light. So think A7S, think video, low light, also steals in low light, and what else about these? High dynamic range, all the features. These now this has silent mode. It has the in-camera image stabilization. It has better ergonomics than the original. So A7S is that. Okay. A7R is this one, the high res. The R could be for resolution. I don't know. It's a high res. Think like wedding photography, like big. Say you're shooting like not Dennis Reggie bride, but like the bride that wants the big blow-ups. You can do that. You're shooting for a magazine and you want to crop it horizontal, vertical. I love the high resolution for that reason. I can take a few shots and then later I'm like, man, there's all three of these shots are good, but it's redundant keeping all three. Let me take this one and crop it vertically. Let me take this one and crop it in tight. Or let me take that same image, crop it here, here, and here. Give them 3 shots out of one image and the full one. and they think I'm so creative, you know, like, how do you think of that composition? That was so genius. I never even saw him get it in tight there. And it's because you're taking one image and cropping it different ways, and you still have the resolution to print it however you want. So the high res is awesome. So if I'm shooting daylight, high res, awesome focus tracking. This has better autofocus, like the whole lock on, the whole like shooting race cars coming at you, shooting eye autofocus. This has eye autofocus too, but that's better like tracking if you're shooting sports or something like that, or if you're shooting things moving. This has the best kind of like the phase detection, 399 autofocus phase detection points, and all these amazing things. This is more like video, low light. That's more like good light, available light. It's pretty good at high ISOs as well. Like I shoot this thing 12,000 ISO, and I'm happy. You know, it's awesome. Up to you can go higher. I recommend picking up this camera and using it for the lower light stuff. 12 megapixels for this, and that's the trade-off, guys. That's the thing with technology. It's like the reason that this 12 megapixel camera isn't 42 megapixel camera is because the trade-off with low light. Think about how the size of the sensor, the buckets on the sensor. The bigger the bucket, the more light it collects. So if you want low light, you go lower megapixels, lower resolution. If you want higher resolution, you sacrifice a little bit on the low light capability. So this thing is better in low light than that. This is still amazing. They have the whole backlit sensor, which helps it autofocus in the dark better and things like that. It's a backlit sensor. It also improved the autofocus, the low light capabilities of the camera. In the past, like a 42 megapixel camera just was like horrible in low light. Horrible. You know, it was only a studio photographer camera, like for strobes, you know, firing lots of light. Now we have a usable wedding photography camera that's super high res. And if you want to shoot, you know, down res it, you might shoot JPEG or RAW plus JPEG.
What's going to be the tipping point that gets everyone to adopt mirrorless?
Hopefully classes like this, you know, education and enough people talking about it, enough people trying it. Like I really wanted you to see through my lens. I really did. I'm going to be at the Sony booth tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I think my talk goes at like 3:30. But come at 3 because they're short talks. They're 25 minutes and you don't miss it. But I'm going to have a model there. And she's wearing this gold like leotard thing, which is very flexible and holds a ball. It's really weird, but it's fun. You know, she's bright and easy to focus on. But I'm showing through the camera. We got it all set up there, and it's working. I can switch back and forth, and I'm showing through my lens. So hopefully, the things I'm saying I can demonstrate for you there. That's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Just demonstrate all the stuff I wanted to demonstrate tonight. Let me start here, and I'll work my way back.
Do you use speed lights? Do they have
Yes.
speed lights?
I use speed. She asked me, do I use speed lights? So I have a little case back there. That little black one right there. I have the young how do I pronounce this? I don't believe any of you. Nobody really knows. Young Mule. Okay. Anyways, Chinese brand, and it's they're just manual flashes. So go to the Sony booth because they just came out with this whole new technology with wireless capabilities with their flash system. It's amazing. I haven't even got a chance to look at it. It's brand new. They announced it at WPPI. But they're listening to wedding photographers. That's why they're here spending so much. I think they spent like $500,000 on that booth. They're paying attention to this industry. I think this is where the money's at, to be honest. Like we're all buying gear, you know, and people are needing to update their gear, but yet we're kind of in a recession. People don't want to be forking out like $6,500 for a camera body. This is the time when you're updating your gear, like looking at other options. You know, a $3,000 camera is like $3,200. You get the A7 II, which is an amazing wedding camera. Not quite as good at the tracking stuff, but amazing everywhere else. 24 megapixels, you get it for like $1,600 brand new. I just sold mine because I got this. I sold it for $1,100. It's like, and nothing. Honestly, that replaced my D4. So the technology's there, and it's so much cheaper, and you're making that transition. Did I answer the question? I don't even remember what I was talking about. Back there.
What lenses do you use for events, for weddings?
Let me just, okay, right here I have this is my gear that I bring to weddings. I have a ton of lenses in here. I can't decide, you know, I'm indecisive. I have 3 Zeiss Otis lenses just because they make a 28, a 55, and an 85, and I love the manual focus, I love the wide throw, I love the sharpness, the fast lens, they're all 1.4 lenses. But now Sony's coming out with these faster primes, you know, so I just got my hands on the G Master, the 85 G Master. It might, I haven't done a side-by-side test, but it might replace the Otis. Yeah, I have, so the zooms, I have a 16 to 35, it's an f4, and then I have the 24 to 70 f4, I'm waiting for the 2.8 to come out. I have the 70 to 200 f4, waiting for the 2.8 to come out, so I'm going to swap them out. I might keep my 70 to 200 zoom because it's compact and it's amazingly sharp and it focuses quick. It's an awesome lens, but sometimes I just need a little more depth, like shallow depth of field. I just want that look, that better bokeh separation in the background, and I'm willing to carry the weight. But I want to keep that skinnier lens for travel and things like that. It's an amazing lens. What else do I have? I have a 55. If you guys are gonna buy one lens, like you just want to try this out, get like, I recommend. I mean, it's $3,200, but it's kind of more than trying it out. But A7R2 and the 55, the one that's on there, the 55-1.8. This lens, like I want to buy 100 of them and just stock them up for when people realize how amazing this lens is, and I'll sell them at a profit, like a scalp them or something. Like these lenses are, like this lens is so beautiful, like the bokeh, like the way it captures the image, and it's fast, it's 1.8, but it's super compact, fast autofocusing, everything you want in the lens, and it's like $1,000. It's kind of expensive still for a 55, but the technology in this lens blows my mind. And so if you just pick one lens, 55, the 55-1.8 Sony, that's amazing. Then you can start, playing around with the other stuff. You will like love this lens, I promise. How many people own this lens? Or yeah, what do you think, JP? You love it? You like it? It's amazing, right?
If you put it on the 6000, then it's
if you put it on essentially the A6000, that's another great camera. The 6300 is coming out, and you put it on there, it makes that 55 like a 80 millimeter, almost like a perfect portrait lens, right? But the A6300 is coming out. That's the replacement for that little camera I was telling you about that I killed it with on the runway. They came out with even a better one. This one, they took out the lag time, like all lag time. So you're actually shooting 8 frames a second. It goes up to 11 frames a second. But if you want it to look like video through the lens where you don't even see the shutter, 8 frames a second where it's completely like absolutely no shutter lag. So you can see everything and focus tracking 8 frames a second on the camera. And it's like $1,000 for that little camera body. Yes. Let me get her back there and I'll come back to you.
Okay, it might be a naive question.
There's no naive question.
There are.
They're the easiest ones, so please ask.
Okay, so I love my camera. My camera.
Cool.
I have my system, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
What's the compatibility? Like what if I want to shoot both? And like importing and Lightroom and
Well, if you're sponsored, if you join the Artisan program, you might be a problem. But you know what? If you don't join the Artisan program, you can see whatever you want. When I joined, I went on this like probationary. It was like a associate artisan, and I was like, I could shoot whatever I want. I just couldn't really talk too much about Nikon. So I'm like, I'm gonna shoot Nikon and I'm gonna play around with Sony, and I get discounts and stuff. So I was like, cool, But then I fell in love with the Sony gear, and I was like, it took me a while to sell the Nikon gear. It was all piled up on my desk. Like years, it was sitting there. Finally, I started listening to it, put it in selling on eBay and Craigslist, and I was like, I'll sell the ones I don't really care about. And then Sony started coming out with more lenses, and I'm like, I can sell that now. And then I was like, gone. I have nothing left. I have one lens, the 200 2.0, and I can't let go of that lens. It's not, Sony hasn't come out with a lens like that yet. But keep going. Sorry.
No, well, if you were to shoot both though, like in my perfect world, I could bring that, Sony with me when I'm traveling. I could have my Canon for other.
Yeah, I mean, at least try.
I went to this camera store and they were like, oh, you don't want to mix. You don't do that. I'm like,
okay, so I personally don't like to mix either. And why do I not like to mix? Because I want to consolidate. I want to simplify my life. I want to simplify. I'd rather have lenses that fit on both cameras. I'd rather not have extra stuff and have to just like, do I bring the Canon this time or the Sony? Like, which one, which lenses? It just gets too much. I want to focus on my clients and capturing a moment, So the more I can simplify, the better. But there's a transition. I mean, that's what everyone's gonna have to go through. Like trust, things like that. My whole slideshow is all about like and those I'm gonna talk about tomorrow. If you want to swing by the booth at 3:30, I'm gonna talk about why I switched to Nikon and the process went through my head and the test that I put the cameras through in order to feel confident enough to switch. Yes.
What do you use for a flash when you're at a wedding?
So I use the flash system. I have a Sony one, which is pretty awesome for my on-camera because it does TTL and all that stuff. They're kind of pricey. I think they're like $500 or they're kind of like on Canon. Yeah, no, I don't like putting my flash on. I'm saying if I have to put it on my camera, like I think you need one flash that mounts on your camera in case you have to run around outside shooting table shots at a wedding or something like that. I don't know, and you don't have an assistant to hold an off-camera light or something. You need a quick, flash on camera. You're running out, they're getting in the limo, running away, and the sky above, you can't bounce your flash. You just direct flash, quick, you need TTL, things like that. But nowadays, it's almost like, especially with you know, instant previews in your face and all this stuff, you can shoot manual flash. When I'm shooting a reception, I have four corners of the dance floor on light stands kind of like these, and I'm just hitting little speed lights. They're young now, $70 flashes. They're on nano mode. I have a controller on my camera. I can change the power, create ratios. I can set the back ones to be a little more pop for rim lighting. The front ones, I can create a little ratio to keep my shadows, and I can point them down and preserve the mood of the room, and hit my subjects with the flash and keep the ambiance of the room. I don't like pointing flashes at the ceiling anymore. It's like I turn the lights on in the room. I like to preserve the mood of the reception and the colors and the lights and the mood. So I think manual flashes are great, you know. Sony just came out with this whole off-camera system. I gotta go check it out, but I'm sure it's gonna be a little pricier than the Yongnuo system. Those things are so cheap, and they're like, if they're on a stand and someone dancing falls over and knocks it over, I don't get so mad, you know. I just be like, all right, you know. Whereas like if they knock over a $500 flash, I might have to bust out some jiu-jitsu, you know, like a little jiu-jitsu on them, maybe pay the price. Yeah.
Okay, so to kind of parlay off of what you talked to her about, most of us all have our kids, we all have our lenses, we all have our bodies. It seems like Sony comes out with a new camera every 6 months.
Yeah.
So at what point do we jump in?
Right now, I like this camera kind of kills. It's awesome. I feel like they just finally put everything together. I'm sure.
6 months we make it another.
Well, you know what's cool is it's like they're changing quick. They have the money behind them to keep advancing versus waiting with your Nikon. You're like, oh, Canon and Nikon leapfrog each other. There's like years between cameras that come out. So you're like, oh man, okay, I'm Nikon right now. Canon is killing me. And then I gotta wait, and then finally Nikon's being Canon, and then, so you're waiting like, what, 5 years, 4 years? And that's great, because you don't spend a lot of money on cameras, but these are half the price. So it's like, if they come out cameras twice as fast, they're always up to date, and it's half the price. So it's like, they're kind of smart, because the lenses aren't half the price. The lenses are quality glasses that's built for the future. The camera bodies are cheaper, so you can update them more often. So I think they've intentionally made their camera bodies, where all the technology is changing so quickly, they intentionally try to keep the price low, to make this an easier transition for photographers. They understand photographers want to keep their glass, so you know there's solutions for that. But I think that right now is the time to get in with this camera, the A7R II. And if you can afford to if you're gonna go full on, just jump ship and go all Sony, get both of these, one of each. This is $3,000, that's $3,200, so two for the price of a new Canon body or a new Nikon body, and then start buying up lenses you can adapt your other ones in the meantime. But test it out, honestly. Like, I'm just here to show you what I've experienced. You know, I don't want to be a hard salesman. Just go test it out. I'm talking truth from my heart because I believe this is the future, and I want to share this with you guys.
Well, Sony still has like an A99, right? Don't they? That's just got the different mount.
Yeah.
You haven't tested that.
So when I was first interested in Sony, Gary Fong hooked me up with Kayla, and Kayla sent me a couple things to try. She sent me an A99 and an A7S. For some reason, A99, I just didn't like. Didn't gravitate towards it. I gravitated towards a little tiny, cool-looking military rangefinder-looking camera. I'm like, that thing's rad. If I can shoot with this and it fits in my back pocket, I'm like, why not? You know, so why switch to this when I have Nikon like D4? Why would I switch to this A99? It didn't make sense to me. So I naturally went this way. And interestingly enough, Sony went this way too. And all their R&D and everything's gone this mirrorless. That's their edge. That they believe is the future. Photographers are starting to see the light, so I think that's why the A99 is not really talked about much anymore. It's kind of old technology. I feel like Sony is almost writing it off. I wouldn't go that direction. Go mirrorless.
The hard part for me is the white balance. My Canon auto white balance works perfect, and I don't even know how to do it.
The white balance on you mean as far as this, like actually changing it?
What settings to use, or
So are you available Wednesday? Yes, I'm giving a plus class on Wednesday. And it's all about dialing in your mirrorless camera. So, because I don't really know the other mirrorless one. Is it full? That's amazing news. I didn't know if anyone even signed up. So that's awesome news. I hope you're right. But I'm giving a class on because I spent so much time. Me and Kelly, where's Kelly? Kelly and I have been meeting for the last few weeks, just like dive in. And he knows more than me about this stuff. And he's not even like full-time photographer. He's an awesome DJ. He's like so techie savvy. We've been diving in and. Coffee shop, he's walking back and forth, I'm testing all the autofocus modes. I feel like I figured these things out, and I got my custom buttons, trash the sound. I got, this one flips from monitor to here, so if you get close to your body, and the sensor's shutting off this thing, there's little issues like that. We've worked through all of that stuff, so Love you, bro. Thank you. We'll take care of your gear. We'll pack it up nicely.
Whatever.
All right. God bless.
Sell it, sell it.
Kenny.
Give it away.
What was I saying? Yes, white balance. So I set this little down button on the wheel. I set that to jump to white balance. And I usually shoot in Kelvin. I've always, even with Nikon, I shot in Kelvin mode because again the control. I don't want the camera like messing me up. Like people love to use all these auto modes and stuff, and part of me is like, man, I want to dumb down my camera because my brain is more powerful. I'm an artist. I know what I want. When you're starting out, you might be using all more of these modes, letting the camera do most of the work. You know, they have them for that reason. But the more you know, the more control you want, and you start finding more manual settings. I like consistency in my white balance. If I use auto white balance, the camera, frame by frame by frame, where I point the camera, it's adjusting my white balance based on what my subject's wearing, based on the wall, the color of the wall, based on the lighting temperature, all these things factoring in. It's kind of like exposure when you have a backlit window. You know, is that affecting your subject when you want them exposed properly? White balance is the same thing. It's the camera taking a guess, trying to find, you know, a neutral point. And so frame by frame by frame, it's a little different. How are you gonna batch correct that? I want to like get all my images. I want them all to be the same. I don't care if they're exactly perfect. I just want to be the same so that I can correct one, spend my time on that, and then copy and paste that setting across a group of like 100 images that I shot in the same light. So I like the manual white balance for that reason. But there's great auto white balance. Somebody's got great auto white balance. How many people shoot Sony auto white balance? It works. It's great. You know, it's just as good as Nikon, and I shot Nikon for years.
How long did it take you to get used to the grip and holding onto that smaller camera versus
I have a vertical grip because my hand's big, and I never got used to this. I don't like doing this. I shoot a lot of vertical images. We're shooting people, right? So unless you shoot a group of people, a lot of times we're shooting people and to frame them right. And so, like, again, elbowing somebody, you're getting tired here. How big?
It's a little hard to see with there and
Someone pull this down. Just like take it apart. It just adds basically that much on it. It kind of makes it look like a mini D4, you know, like the dimensions. Like, what was cool is you can always pull it off and go to Disneyland, or fit it in your own bag with your laptop, and you just want to play around at Starbucks with it, one of your settings or whatever. And then you can put that thing on when you're actually professionally shooting. I just have another one ordered. My wife said it came like 5 minutes after I left. Because I wanted one for this camera too, because I keep switching it. If I shoot with this camera, I pull that vertical grip and pop it on here. It's just a wheel, spin it, and pull it off and pop it back on. So it's an easy switch. So this is the with the vertical grip. Ignore this guy. But there and there. And it's got two custom buttons. I set my custom button to the zoom feature when I'm manually focusing. I set C2 to my focus mode, so I go between autofocus and manual focus quickly.
How much more was that?
This added on is like $300, $350, something like that. It's under $400 to add this on. I highly recommend it because the whole battery thing we talked about earlier. And of course, this is less tiring for a 10-hour wedding than this. Even if you do this, your wrists are hurting. This is not good. Especially if you're in a pit of photographers, right? Dude, how many people if you tried this action in a pit of photographers for the runway, people slapping your, I slap arms, I'm like, yeah, man. And from my plans, it's like, keep that thing. So this is done. Like, the more you do this, you're just going to end up with shoulder issues. You're really shooting a lot. This is stable, comfortable. You can stay here all day. So get the vertical grip. Like, even if your hand fits on this little camera, you like it small, just, you know, get this. Seriously, like, it's way better. And you have the battery feature that I was talking about, which is huge for me. We have, like, literally, I think my watch stopped. I'm going to wind it. You know, trust this watch.
It's 10 of it.
We're almost done, so she can just go with you. Okay. She's gonna buy a margarita. Coming here. Can I come? I should buy the margarita actually. I'll come with you guys. I'll pay. If you help me clear up all this gear and stuff. I'm gonna do the giveaway. Let's do the giveaway. And then you guys can get.
If I feel like I'm texting those, you know, and her face just changed, and she was like, oh yeah, we're okay, whatever. And I mean, they were beautiful. And I was like, you know, I just kind of looked at her. She says, you know what, that whole thing, my kids felt like props. You know, she kind of scolded my child at one point. She wasn't interacting with them. When we came back from the preview session, you know, she was very, very much of a hard sell. I just really walked away get some, hair light. It's also going to light up the bathroom so this doesn't fall super dark. These floors are back from White House, and I just love them. I don't know, like this literally was folded up in a box and transported, and this is as wrinkled as it is. And even then, like if I'm at home, I'll throw it in the dryer. You can wash them if they get peed on by babies. Our mom's here, but the babies do pee on them. You can wash them easily. They're perfect. These floors are great too. I debated having a floor set, but otherwise we have these nice Vegas floors, and so we have a floor. Okay, first of all, down let's make with the investment in Women Brainwork. That was so great. That was so weird on so many levels. I'm sorry. RJ or RC? RJ? Okay. So with posing, first of all, and I'm going to show her. Are you a real mom? You know what?
I do.
Yes. Okay. Well, I never know because sometimes in maternity, they're not real models, which is fine either way because we're not dealing with real models in our businesses, right? And so, that's the thing too, part of the experience. They're coming to us. They're so nervous. They're like, I don't know what you want me to do. I'm like, that's fine. I don't expect them to know how to pose themselves. That's what they're paying me for. They're paying me to make them look their best. So for this, I will have them. Does anybody know what short lighting is versus broad lighting? So you don't want broad lighting. If I have her this way, and the lights all right here, this is broad lighting. This is not flattering to most women. Models could possibly get away with it, very slim woman. She possibly could, she's got a good face. But most pregnant women, myself, I'm not pregnant, but I'm cheeky, and so it's not a good look. So you want the nose pointed to the light source. And this is short lighting. This is true whether it's the sun, whether it's a window, whether it's this, and you want the nose to light. So whether she's standing like this or however, you just want the nose going towards the light. So for most women, I'm going to turn their bodies away from the light because it's most flattering. Because if all of this is here, it's going to look heavier. So I'll turn it this way. And most women will stand initially with their knees locked. And she's probably has knees locked. Yes. She has her knees locked. That's not what I want. And that's what most women are going to do. Okay, so I'm going to show her. I want her to shift her weight to her back leg. To her right here. You got it. If I have it this way, whatever's closest to the camera, that's biggest, right? Most pregnant women, although she's very tiny, but most women that I have next to, they're going to have a bigger head, bigger thighs. But we don't want all this right here. So we're going to do this, and we're going to keep the emphasis on the belly. So then we're going to have her, we're going to put your hands on your belly. See? Okay, so then they're going to have, they start where they start. Then I'll say, okay, bring your right hand on top of the belly, and then here. So what you're going to notice here is that this is not the best. You don't want this arm all locked up right here. You actually are doing too good of a job. Okay. So this is what most people are going to do. You see this arm? It's really blocked. It's all right here. That's not what you want. You're going to want to have this for a few reasons. A, just in general, this is not a good pose because it's just all this arm up against the belly. It's not flattering. So, and also, if you say later and make it a little bit more flattering right here. So that helps you in so many ways. So then now, I don't have a fan here, but I will mention, I have a big industrial fan. Fans, women love fans. They're usually hot, pregnant women, it's kind of cold in here, but they're usually kind of hot, make sure they're warm. Turn on the fan, they're like, oh yes, just leave the fan on. Plus, the hair starts flowing. They just feel like a beautiful, they just like, and then I'll kind of joke like, oh, America's Top Model, like work it right now. All right, so I'm going to have you look, no. Just turn your face and look towards the floor. I usually don't wear shoes when I'm shooting, so my shoes are usually somewhere right around there. So I'm usually like, look at my shoes. So right here, like first of all, don't look at the floor. Just look straight at the audience. Okay, so this pose right here, okay, we've got it pretty nice. You have your fingers all nice and pretty. But then watch when she turns down. Actually, look at the audience. Since you can't see what I'm going to shoot, look at the audience and just kind of be, have a serious face. And I don't ever want to tuck right under the ears. I just want to tuck a little bit so it doesn't fall into her eye. But if you tell someone, give me a sexy face, look serious. Like they don't, I don't know my sexy face. Most women, some don't. Some will bust it out and I'm like, are you a dancer? Are you what? They're like, I got it. But I can always tell, I'm like, okay, you go. But for the most part, the way I achieve this, I'll say, look down towards the floor over there. on the legs is pretty cool. She just got it on Amazon. I don't even know what it's called. But some people use a leaf blower, but then you kind of have to have somebody to do it. I have a friend, he does seniors, he uses a leaf blower. Okay. Another thing, she's not really doing it. Relax her shoulders. Yeah, you see that? Did you guys see that? She had, they don't even, you don't even realize it, but pull back up how you got it. Kind of just standing there like that, I'll just kind of tap like that, you know, and you realize, then it's like, oh, because this is bunched stuff. Do that, and it just kind of relaxes her, and it relaxes the whole pose. Oop, up here. Any names to know?
We just started trying.
Yeah. This is your first move? Okay. So relax the shoulder, look down. Alright. And then, oh, and then where's we help me with the train? So what I will do, since you're not going to see it, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to do a pose from here. Most of what I sew is honestly probably like right here, right through the thigh. And do you have your shoes on right now? You do? Okay. So she has some sexy, cute little shoes. Not everybody can pull off little heels, but if they have like heels are really the only shoes I'm going to show. She's got some, they're not really going to show in this, but unless I have her do something fun. Grab it underneath here. There you go. She's got some cute little heels on. Be careful with heels because their sense of balance is not that great, and so we just really want to be careful with that. Alright. So when I tuck this, you can see I'm just kind of like, I'll kind of bring hair because I don't want to see the ear. Alright. Very pretty. Okay. Down. Rachel. Oh, so pretty. How pretty is that train? Oh my gosh. And then eyeballs just right back at me. Look right here. Pretty. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Okay. Turn your face a little more. Awesome. Give me a little smile. How cute. Alright, look down towards belly just from right there. Right there. Just a little, right there. Eyes at me from right there. Ready? Turn your chin this way a little bit. Right there. Oh. Alright, awesome. So, I don't know, you guys really probably can't see this. But it's just really nice. It's kind of falling off a little dark over here, which is okay. It's just enough, you know. Getting that? Yes?
Is that reflect you're supposed to be blocking the sock box?
Not really, but it's okay. We're just working with it. But normally I don't block. Normally what I have is a kicker strip, so it kind of is okay. I have a long rectangular one, so that's kind of what, it doesn't bother me that it's blocking. And it's doing a mix. It's bringing some light onto her hair, but it's also lighting up the backdrop. That's just my personal preference, and I use it as a kicker and hair light all kind of in one. I have had in the past a hair light right above, and I don't always, use that one anymore. I just kind of do this. Yes? Oh, good question. I'm always on 100 ISO in the studio because I control the light, so I don't
artistic, nothing. The judges just want to see the photo. This is the way it is. I just took this photo with increasing the ISO just to show an example, which I never do. And then I said, you know what, Ellie? Now that we took that, take it down. We're going to do it again. We're going to put a flash. I put a flash there. I close the blinds in order to reflect the light reflects from the blinds into her. And then once I did that, this is the photo that it looks like with the flash. Okay, this is original. This is with helper light. And both, you can agree probably, looks like extremely natural. Not a single glance of flash you could detect here. But which one shows her more? Right? So, I think this is the end of the photo shoot there. How cute is she? Yeah, yeah,
Como tú quieras.
Right. But do you have like a rough estimate? So I think what we're gonna do like this, like here. If you want to put your email in here, you can email me directly, and I will honor this price. Awesome. Even if it may change down the road, but if you want to order something, I'll honor it. Okay. Thank you. So go ahead here. Before I forget. You just type in your email. I'll shoot you an email and I'll just put journal pricing. Awesome. So let me grab one more thing. I really like that.
Looks like
but it'll look nice.
Remember getting distressed leather? I had this one distressed leather album from years ago. And people were like, there's all these marks. I was like, those are for me. Every meeting I put a mark on, I like intentionally roughed it up.
Yeah, and actually the marks that you see here.
That's what we're going to talk about today, but we're also going to be creating art together from start to finish. So what I want to get out of this hour and a half I believe we have together is some inspiration, some motivation, some sharing of life stories, getting in touch with who we are as people, and then turning that into a finished art piece by the time we walk out of here. And so I don't want to spring this on you later, and you don't have to participate, but later on I'll be asking if anybody would like to model for the picture. So just think about that now if you're comfortable doing something like that. I only have these dresses, another thing to consider. So, you know, like if you're a man and you're 6 foot tall, you might not fit in this dress, but just something to think about. So if you're willing, if you feel like it, then of course I'll give you the file afterwards and you can have that. So can't guarantee it's going to be good, but I'll still give it to you. So I want to introduce myself very quickly, and I'm coming at this from a little bit of a different perspective, I think, from a lot of the people here, and that is that we're at a convention for wedding and portrait photographers, but I've never done either one of those things, like, at all. So I shot 3 weddings before. They were all disastrous. I've shot headshots for people in LA. Those were even more disastrous. So I'm not the person to talk to if you need to take a portrait or shoot a wedding. However, I do a different type of portraiture, and it's surreal and whimsical and dark and very personal. And that's why I wanted to share what I do with you, so that maybe we can just come at this whole portrait world from a slightly different perspective. Maybe one that you haven't tried before, maybe something that you're just getting into, maybe something you've been doing forever on the side or as your business. I don't know where you're coming from, but that's where I'm coming from. So, very quickly again, the way that I started photography was kind of through a dare. My friend Kelly over here, hey Kelly, hi. She called me up. We've been friends for the last 14 years or so. She called me up one day and she said, let's do self-portraits. We were living in different states. I had no idea even what that really meant to do a self-portrait. And she said, why don't we just try? You have a camera, you have a tripod. I had just come out of film school. She said, let's just do it for fun because we never do anything together. We don't see each other. Let's just try. So I picked up my camera, put it on my tripod, sat for a whole day with my husband conceptualizing and figuring out what exactly I was going to create as my self-portrait. And we spent probably a good 24 hours just thinking about what the concept was, how we were going to make it work. Technically, how do you even open Photoshop? I didn't know anything.
It pops up. I cannot stand taking the picture and having to hit the preview button before I look at it. And I do this. I take it, I glance, I'm done. I don't have to take it, push the button, and look at it. I'm wasting time, man. So when we're talking about the use of speed light, please understand that your shutter speed completely controls the ambient light. This is crucial. So when you're at a wedding reception, okay, and you start to get movement or ghosting, you have to speed the shutter. All right? What else could you do? You could lower the ISO a little bit. You could increase your aperture a little bit. You know, close it down a little bit. But I don't really want to do that. I just want to play around with the shutter. Maybe I've decided I want a certain aperture. Then I just work the shutter. That is just too slow. So before, when I think the perfect for me was about a 15th or 20th of a second. I think that's probably what I used. This is an 1/8 of a second. This is at night. They wanted to go out for a photo. If I had shot this at a 60th or 80th, or there's a lot of blogs out there, a lot of instructors that will say, what you really want is maximum sync speed at all times for maximum sharpness. No, if I'm in a room where there's a light vacuum, I talk about the light vacuum, if there's no light whatsoever, I can make a sharp image on bulb with a speed light. Very easy. This is, I shot all these formals. Guess what my shutter speed was? This is in Mexico. Let's take a look. It's a 1/10 of a second. And somebody said to me, boy, it takes a lot of balls to shoot formals at a 1/10 of a second. No, it doesn't. Not at all. Not when you know that the flash is going to freeze the action. No problem. When your settings are far enough below the ambient light reading, in this case the ambient light reading was night, okay? And I tried to just use those areas for separation. That's what you need. So don't be intimidated by off-camera flash either. All these are off-camera. My assistant is camera left. Sometimes my assistant is behind. And I'm just shooting, and I'm adjusting my shutter accordingly. Okay? No problem. If I can, and I'm shooting the toast, if I can get some color behind them, if I can use an uplight behind them, that's what this is. And it's off-camera light. Okay? This is an important little detail too. When I'm shooting with an off-camera light, my flash is on a stick. I'm using this flash bender right here. It's a modifier with a solid opaque back to it. The reason I don't shoot with just a bare tube or I'm not bouncing into the ceiling is because I cannot control the light. If you ever listen to the best out there, Joe McNally, he talks about the need and the importance of controlling the light. The reason I use this is that the flash is going in the direction I choose it to go. And if I had used a bare tube or a stove fan or anything bouncing anywhere, you see how rich that background is, and I'm juxtaposing highlights against shadows. What a surprise that is. The light would have spilled off of that because it's the Franklin Institute and it's all marble. So the direction of the light is important. So I had to basically flag the light, and I would have my assistant turn the modifier so it wouldn't spill against the marble. And that's all it is, off-camera flash. Blessings, toasts, parent dances, you name it. That's what I'm trying to accomplish here. It's good stuff. All right. Sometimes you can go available. If you don't have to use a flash and you have quality of light, why not? Fast lenses. Hey, during these sparkler exits, because that's really a unique idea, right? Sparkler exit, yes, I got another one, yes. Don't you love them? And my favorite about sparkler exits, right? These knucklehead planners, they get these poor people, these sparklers that are like this big, okay? And then by the time that's burned out, you know what I'm talking about. So here we are, sparkler exits, you know? And sometimes you can go, so what's my light source here? It's a speed light, mimicked. It's basically, look, the look here and the feel of it is that it's the lamppost. But no, it's a speed light. It's my system squatting down. Right? And I'm slowing my shutter speed to get the night sky of Manhattan. That's all that is. Who doesn't like a rain picture? But bet you've never seen a picture like that before. But they liked it. Good saleable image. Right? So I want to stray a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about passion. Okay? We all have it. We wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be in Vegas. We wouldn't be at WPPI going to Shibuya spending $220 on dinner. Okay? I love that place, but damn, they're expensive. So after 1,000 weddings or so, I still say to myself when I get up, I want to make a picture. I want to make a picture that moves me. People ask me, what motivates you? How do you keep shooting after 1,000 weddings? I say, you know, I wake up in the morning and I say, today I'm going to make a picture. I know damn well I'm not, but I try. I have to. I have to feel that way, or else I might as well just quit, right? If it's just for the money, you know, I got to send my kids through school, I'm going to die inside a little bit. And I do, often. But, you know, Adam said 12 significant photographs in any one year is a good crop. Well, what would you say if my last image that I really loved was about 2 years ago? Pretty sad, right? So those of you that are a little younger and maybe not shooting so prolifically, you'll like the images now, and then maybe next year you'll like a few less, and by the time you're my age, Christ, you hate everything. You know? I'm not joking. I'm serious. So every once in a while you get to make a picture like this that just falls in your lap. This won the Grand Award last year. I looked at it, I'm like, oh, that's a nice picture. Other people liked it more than I did. You know, if Rocco Ancora didn't see it, I wouldn't have entered it. You know, and sometimes you make a picture like that. Okay? So, I made this last year. The horse had an allergy. No, I'm not kidding. The horse had an allergy, and I didn't believe her. She says, I hope he doesn't sneeze on me, because he sneezes a lot. And she just, after she just went like this. You know? Let's just say I didn't kiss her goodbye. You know? And then sometimes you make a picture like that. You know? If you ever see me speak, I've shown this at every seminar I've ever done, and I usually save it for last. But if you look at it long enough, you'll see an old lady. Alright? All this crap, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that wasn't even, I don't know what happened here, keynote. And then sometimes you make a picture like that. That's kind of an accident, because you're going past and he's just kind of just looking outside before he's about to get married. And sometimes you really like the pictures you make, you know? But then sometimes you have to let go of some of the passion. Not every one is going to win your grand award, trust me on that. And when you're shooting 40, 50 weddings a year, the only way to keep going is hope. And I still hold out some hope that I'm going to make some good pictures. I was pissed off a couple years ago at Jason Group because he gave me the Lifetime Achievement Award. I think I was 50 years old. I'm like, you know, what, does this award come with a walker, dude? Huh? You know what I'm saying? You know, but at the time I was shooting for 31 years. I figured, you know, okay, it's, you know, it's a pity award. There are weddings that make you question why I do what I do. Okay? I can give you a million reasons why I want to just kill myself. And I feel just like that. I'm not. You know? I'm sorry, it's copywritten. I stole this meme. Thank you, Google. I said, I think I Googled gun in mouth memes. All right? And then there's weddings that make me want to just do this. Now, I didn't use a gun because it's not politically correct, so I used a cat. And who doesn't like cats with lasers? So sometimes I want to kill other people when I'm shooting these weddings. But it's about passion. And sometimes, you know, I love this by Abaddon. If each photograph steals a bit of the soul, isn't it possible to give up pieces of mine? Every time I take a picture, depends upon the picture. She says to me, Hong Kong. I could fly all the way to Hong Kong to shoot this. And she says, I'm not kidding. After the family formal, and bridal party, she says, we would like to do bridal party jumping picture. I said, you want to do what? And I, 1, 2, 3, boom, great shot, love it, she loved it, she loved it. So you just got to surrender, give the client what they want. Don't wear the frustration on your face. Don't yell at the drunken groom right there. And great story about this, I literally waited 5 to 10 minutes. I just sat there like this, watching all their spouses and girlfriends take pictures with iPhones. And I was like this, just like this, because I couldn't fight them anymore. I couldn't, it's like elbow to elbow. I'm like, F this, I'm out. And I smiled, I'm like, when you're done, no problem. And the groom here, they're all wasted. He's looking at me like, what are you waiting for? And I'm like, so, here's a question, ladies and gentlemen. How much money does it take to eat shit? Ask yourself that before every wedding. And say, well, let's see. I've got an $8,000 check in my pocket. I can eat a pile about yay big. And you keep going. I'm not joking. So here's a little biz talk, okay? Just a little bit. Dealing with rejection. Okay? I just feel like there are times that I'm so low because, wedding, bride after bride after bride, it's just like, what's your budget? You try to talk them up a little bit, and you just get rejected all the time. How many of you just, when you get rejected, don't you just feel like garbage? Is it not the hardest thing in the world? You're all artists out there. You know how it feels. I want you to know that anybody standing up here, if they ever tell you anything different, they're lying through their teeth. We all feel that way. I feel terrible when I can't book a wedding. And there's times, you're going to wonder if you're ever going to book another wedding again. I haven't booked a wedding in I guess it's been about 2 weeks. I had 3 cancellations, I have 39 weddings. I would have had 42. I probably should have about 45, okay? But every one is like pulling teeth. It is like pulling teeth. But if you discount, negotiate, bend, break, and you're at that wedding that day, you're saying to yourself, God darn, why did I discount this $1,000? Why did I do? You're going to hate yourself. You're going to hate them more. Dry spells mess with your head. They really do. So I just want to go through this. Here's some real numbers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not trying to bring you down, because hopefully I'll bring you back up. So let's talk about these numbers, okay? Let's say you hit the magic number, $3,500, give you $100. Hey, I'm making 6 figures. No, you're not. With all my taxes and real estate taxes, and I'm not going to go. I'm in a 60% tax bracket. Thank you, Bernie. So, in any case, here's all these things. I'm not going to go over these in great detail. So all these expenses, blah, blah, blah. What about taxes? So here's your total, $38,360 down. That's approximate, okay? That ain't a lot to live on today. It's just not. Just because you're charging $3,500 doesn't mean you're making it. Come on. Right? Sing it. It's the truth. So about 40 hours. So what is it per hour? Oh my gosh, it's terrible. All right, so here, your website, there's your code, by the way, if you're looking for good gallery. I am a huge proponent of good gallery. It's helped me enormously. Anybody wants to talk to me privately or email me, I'll tell you how it's helped me, okay? So you have to think to yourself, after all this what I'm talking about, money or art? That was a question I posed to a very life-changing photographer for me, Jay Maisel. Anybody know Jay? I know you're going to Sue's. If you got to go to Sue's, I understand. She's amazing. Sue Bryce is amazing. She's doing the keynote, so it's okay. You won't miss anything. And thank you for coming. So they couldn't make Sue 8:30, for Christ's sakes. Come on. So in any case, so I asked Jay, who is a legend. I've had the opportunity to have many dinners, and I said, what do you tell the photographers a couple of years ago that's been shooting for like 30 years? I just feel like I've plateaued. I feel like I can't make pictures anymore. He says, and anybody ever seen Jay speak? Anybody out there? He sounds like Marlon Brando. And he's a New Yorker, the epitome of it. He's just, you know, the trouble with people like you is that all you think about is the effing money. You gotta assign yourself a project, a personal project, something you feel good about. And you gotta make the pictures, even if they suck. You gotta keep pushing to make sure that you stay passionate about what you do. And don't give me any of that shit about time. You got the time. And I said to him, well, I mean, I shoot a lot of, I'm trying to like make excuses. I shoot a lot of weddings. At the time, I had 15-year-old daughters. And he said, hey, twins? Yes. Fuck the art, make the money. Every so often we're reminded, though, of why we do what we do, no matter how jaded we become. And, you know, that 1 out of 10 wedding where everything is just incredible. These women trusted me with their day, and I had no idea how much I would love working with these women and their families. They couldn't be any more diverse. She's a Jewish lawyer from North Jersey, okay? I think she's, the girl on the left is one of the most prolific basketball players in American history. And they were amazing together. And the entire day I was just like, God, this is cool. I'm so grateful to be there with these people and their families and the diversity and just the love everywhere. It was incredible. Every ounce of my skill, every ounce of my being went into this event. And then we have to find out what's important to clients. You know, there's little details. I'm not talking about spending 20 minutes on shooting frickin' Jimmy Choo's, okay? I'm talking about shit, you think I'm kidding. You know, get the bucket. Here's my list of things to shoot. Don't forget the invitation suite, you know? Every bride in this family since 1887 carried these handkerchiefs down. That's a detail. Almost all of them signed it. And then there is the moments that we create throughout the day. So no matter what our skill set is, no matter what the light's like, I don't care. The goal was to capture moments. That's first and foremost to me. 3 generations. Grandmother and mother having a wonderful conversation. I have no idea what it was about. I don't care. A picture is a secret about a secret. The more it tells you, the less you know. That's moments before their ceremony. I'm shooting this with a 7200. I have no idea. I don't care. I'm there to capture pictures. You know, moments. Tell you a quick story. I mentioned details before. Well, I'm not opposed to shooting details. I'll shoot them. I'm joking about that. I have to shoot them. If I didn't have to, I wouldn't. Moments are what's important. I walk into the Four Seasons one day, and there's a bride on her knees talking to her grandmother. The grandmother's 92 years old in a wheelchair. She says, you know, sees me on the corner of the eye. I've got my lenses on, and I just start making pictures. Long story short, 2-3 minutes later, I make pictures. Wonderful, great, emotional, powerful images. As soon as I walk in, I was thrilled. I walked into the bedroom. There's 3 videographers there, shooting rings and shoes in the bouquet, and they got their freaking sliders. And I'm like, guys, did you? I didn't even bother telling them. That couple, that bride will never have that on video because they were too busy shooting the rings, you know, spinning the ring. That's very important. You gotta spin the ring. The thing that's important though is you never know. You're always feeling your way. I never have any plan. There's no predictability to what I do on the wedding, except there's going to be a getting ready portion, a ceremony, a family pictures, a first dance, blessings, toast, parents dances. Sure, that's predictable. But then there's moments that, you know, like this actually, oops, oh, my keynote's acting up. No worries. No worries. You're always sort of feeling your way. You know, I don't know how he's going to react during this first look, but you better be ready. The whole point of taking pictures is so you don't have to explain things with words. You know, bride and her dad. I love Indian weddings. I absolutely adore them. You know, what's grandmom doing? If I start talking about this image, you'll see me cry on stage. He's passed, and the email I got from her really moves me. This was one of the most important moments in her life, and he was very ill. It's going to be me and my daughter someday.